Thanks for stopping by GF Explorers. Today we're making one of my favorite dishes, crab cakes and remoulade sauce. Oh, it's going to be so good.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites as well. I absolutely love crab cakes. And you know what I love most about making them at home?
You get to eat them all?
You get to eat them all, yes. But you get to control how much crab is in your crab cake. Let's face it, when you go to restaurants and order a crab cake appetizer, you're almost always disappointed at the amount of crab that you get in your crab cake. So that's why you want to make them at home. They're super easy, they're super delicious, and we're going to make ours gluten-free by using gluten-free breadcrumbs. Now, you probably know if you've watched our channel, we'll put the links in the description down below, but we make our own sandwich bread and our own baguettes and our own hamburger buns. And what we do is we take the heels and the scraps from our bread and we throw them in the freezer. Any bread that doesn't turn out good, baguette falls occasionally. We put all that stuff in the freezer, save it up, dry it out in the oven, and then grind it in the food processor, and boom, you got your own fresh, crispy, gluten-free breadcrumbs, which is what you're going to use. This dish works perfectly well with regular glutened breadcrumbs as well. Do what works best for you. Either way, they're super easy and super delicious. So Victoria's going to get us started by making her great remoulade sauce.
Yeah, let's make some sauce. Okay, this is a simple sauce of starting with mayonnaise, of course, because all my favorite sauces start with mayonnaise. I've got mayonnaise in the bowl, and I am going to add Dijon mustard. It has two different types of mustard in this. And then some whole grain mustard, which is going to give it a nice punch. Some white wine vinegar. A little sriracha, not much for me. If you want it spicy, add more sriracha. It'll give it a lovely kick. And then we have some green onion, capers chopped, drained and chopped, a little bit of tarragon dried, and then some parsley finely chopped. I'm going to get all those in and mix it together. Okay, it's looking good. Okay, I'm going to give it a taste before I hit it with some salt and pepper. Oh, so much flavor. Oh my goodness. Definitely needs some salt and pepper though. Okay. Give it another spin. Okay, one more taste, new spoon. Oh, that is so good. It's so tangy. What I love about remoulade is it's much more tangy than tartar sauce.
All right, our remoulade sauce is in the refrigerator, chilling down. Those flavors are melding together. You can see how quick and easy that was, and it is delicious. I will tell you, you have to make it. So let's show you how easy the crab cakes are. We're gonna start, first of all, with our crab. Jumbo lump. Leave the pieces as big as you can. Don't chop it up really fine. You want to taste crab in these things. So I just run a knife really quick through any really large pieces, but leave it chunky, leave it as chunky as you can. We're going to go in with our breadcrumbs, Old Bay seasoning, some parsley, and now our wet ingredients, mayonnaise, Dijon mustard, Worcestershire sauce, 1 lightly beaten egg, and then I like to put a couple dashes of hot sauce in here. Our favorite hot sauce is the Tabasco Chipotle brand because it's got a little bit of smokiness to it. That's what we love in our crab cakes, but feel free to make it your own and use your favorite hot sauce and use as much as you want. We just hit it with a couple dashes because we just want a little bit of that hint of zestiness, but use as much as you think you need. So we're just gonna go 1, 2, 3. And then we are gonna give this a mix. Get our wet and our dry all incorporated, and you can see how nice and chunky that is with the crab. And there is definitely more crab in here than any of the other ingredients. So as we get it incorporated, look at how much moisture is in your crab cake. You don't want it too moist, but you want them to be able to stick together in the pan. So if you're feeling that yours are a little dry, feel free to have a secondary egg beat on the side and add a little bit more egg if it's looking a little too dry to you. This, to me, is looking really, really good. And likewise, have some extra breadcrumbs too. If you mix things together and it's looking a little too wet to you, or a little bit too mushy, then go ahead and add just a little bit more breadcrumbs to that mix. Let's see how well this sticks together. Now that looks a little heavy on the moisture content, but I'm gonna call that good. All right, so before we make these into crab cakes, I forgot salt and pepper, which I had sitting right here in front of me. So just a couple grinds of pepper and a little pinch of salt is gonna heighten all these flavors up. Give it a quick mix. And then I think it's also important to point out here to not over mix your crab cakes. Just enough to everything is combined. What I like to do is get a nice spoonful. I'd rather have more crab cakes than big, huge crab cakes. And just kind of get them back and forth in your hand and just pat them so they stick together. And you can see that's about as wide as my hand is. I'm going to call these an appetizer size crab cake. You can make them, of course, or as big or as little as you want. My one recommendation to you would be whatever size you choose to make your crab cakes, make them all the same size, make them the same diameter and the same thickness so they all cook the same. If you have different size crab cakes, they won't all be done at the same time. All right, so you can see here we got about 6 crab cakes out. I think it's important to note that this is a half recipe. I normally like to use 1 pound of crab, which is what the recipe down below will call for, but our store only had an 8-ounce can of crab, so that's what we're working with today. So we're gonna do an appetizer round of crab cakes. We got 6 crab cakes out. The full recipe will make about a dozen crab cakes if you make them about this size. So now let's head over to the stovetop and fry these guys up. All right, we're at the stovetop. I've got my cast iron pan, which is one of my favorite things to cook on lately. We've got our station set up. We've got our sheet pan with some paper towel on there. We've got some kosher salt and some lemon to hit them right after they come out of the pan. Our pan is smoking hot. It's got a nice amount of sunflower oil in there. And I think because we made a smaller portion here, that we're gonna be able to get all of these when you can hear that sizzle when they hit the pan. That's when you know your pan is nice and hot. And we're just going to press them down a little bit so they all adhere to the bottom of the pan. And if we move these guys right to the side, we'll get this last one right there in the center of the pan. And I don't want you to touch them until you start to see the crispy edges start to come up around the sides of the crab cakes. That will tell you that they're ready to flip. All right, you can see right up in here, you can see that coloration starting to come around the side of the crab cake. That lets you know that these guys are ready to flip over. So we're gonna get underneath them and oh, look at that. And give them a little pat so the entire crab cake adheres to the pan. You can see we did that on the first round, and we've got really, really nice even coloration. So flip them and just give them a nice little pat. And you can see the nice all even color. That one's a little dark, but really nice even color. We're gonna let these guys go for about 3 minutes on this side, give or take. Take a little peek underneath it after about 3 minutes and take a look at your color. When it matches this top color, you're good to go. All right, guys, these have been on this flip side for about 3 minutes. And we're gonna take a look under the hood there. Oh yeah, look at that. See how that coloration is about equal to our color that we got on the top here. So we're gonna go ahead and call these done. Let's get these off of the pan. The color that we got on these is just fantastic and is going to add to the flavor of our crab cakes. Kill our heat. Let's hit it with a little lemon. Make sure you're going to get some on each crab cake. Then we're going to hit them with a nice dash of kosher salt. And you want to do this right as your crab cakes come out of the pan because they are nice and hot, and that salt is going to melt right into those crab cakes and flavor them up. All right, the best part of every cooking video that we do,
Eating!
the taste test.
Oh, I get to go first?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I cannot wait. Oh my God, the sauce, the crab cake. Oh. That is so delicious.
Wow. Oh. Nice coloration on the crab cake. Gave it some great flavor.
Great flavor.
And what's the first thing you taste in a crab cake?
Crab.
Crab.
Wonderful.
Again, my biggest disappointment ordering, if you can even find gluten-free crab cakes at a restaurant.
Good luck with that.
But if you can, it's the crab. That's the disappointing part. And these are full of crab, and they are delicious. And your remoulade sauce is herby and zesty all at the same time and adds such a wonderful flavor to the crab cake.
It's such a compliment. And that's why I like the remoulade. You can use a tartar with a crab cake. It'll work wonderfully. But I really feel like the remoulade is the best choice for the crab cakes.
Yeah, absolutely. So dinner, appetizer, a sandwich if you're feeling really creative.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. A link to the full recipe will be in the description below, or you can go to gfexplorers.com and you'll find this recipe, the remoulade recipe, so much more. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. We'd really appreciate it. And give us a thumbs up while you're at it. And until next time, happy eating.